Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 5010-356-633. This is a plain bearing 5 knuckle full mortise wide throw steel base hinge, 3.5 by 6, removable pin, satin brass finish. So let's dissect all of that. That's a mouthful. First of all, the part number, 5010. 5010 stands for the fact that this is a full mortise hinge, standard weight full mortise hinge, and standard weight in a 3.5 inch height. Is, I want to be sure of what I say, 123 thousandths? Yeah, 123 thousandths leaf thickness. And there is a link below this video to what is called the cut sheet, where you can view everything important dimensionally about the hinge. I won't go over much of that here because it's all in that cut sheet. So 5010 means it's a full mortise, standard duty, meaning 123 thousandths. That's how thick the hinge leaf is, roughly 1/8 of an inch. Wide throw hinge, meaning the hinge is wider than it is tall. The 356 specifically means that it is 3.5 inches tall, and the height is the first dimension on hinges like this. It's not like doors where the first dimension is the width. It's the height on hinges like this. 3.5 by 6, and hinges are measured when they're laid open. The 633 specifically means that it is satin brass finish on a steel base. And the 633 specifically means that it is a steel base hinge. So this magnet's going to stick to a piece of steel, and that is a satin brass finish. 633 means satin brass on steel versus a solid brass hinge, which is also available. Now, okay, so we've covered the part number and the description. Now, it's full mortise, as you can see from the swag on the hinge leaves. That when the hinge leaves are brought parallel to each other, you can tell that they're intended to be mortised to the edge of the door and frame, okay? So that they're flush when they're installed properly. This is a 5 knuckle plain bearing hinge, meaning there are no bearing packets inside of here at all. And a wide throw hinge is intended specifically when you have a situation whereby you have unusually thick casing on the pull side of the door. It might be an exterior door, and you might have shutters mounted right on the face of the brick wall, let's say. And because of that additional significant reveal that you have, in order to get the door out and around it, you have to have a wide throw hinge. So a hinge like this, where it's 6 inch wide versus a standard 3.5 by 3.5, it's going to give you an additional 2.5 inch in width, but 1.25 inches in additional offset to the axis of pivoting. So half of that, because the hinge is folded in half at that point. So if what you need is an additional 1.25 inches compared to what you have now, 6 inches is probably the way to go. Now, the fact that it's 3.5 tells me that it's probably an interior door, because 3.5 would be typical for interior doors. In that scenario where you would see this is when you have a very thick wall and the door is actually installed further into that frame than standard. And in order for that to get out and around and work properly, because the door is sunk into the frame itself, you need a wide throw hinge. So if you're thinking about wide throw hinges, you should probably, or you might also need to consider extended lip strike plates. They go hand in hand with these, so if you need help with that, let us know. Removable pin, that'd be something for interior use. If it's an outswinging exterior door, you might want to consider a non-removable pin. Now, this hinge is available in all of the common architectural finishes. Feel free to reach out to us if you want help with picking a color that you would need. Now, options that you can get on this, and there's just several and many. Square corner hinges, you can see. We can special order it for you with a 1/4 inch or a 5/8 radius. You can get decorative tips, like this is what's called a button tip. You can get ball tip, urn tip, steeple tip. Acorn is another tip that you can get. You can get it with security options. The non-removable pin that I mentioned earlier, security stud. Other ways to go about making that something that's pretty tamper-proof when it's installed. Okay, ball bearings. You know, if you're going to have a door that's used a tremendous amount, you should definitely consider ball bearings, or if it's commercial, if it's a commercial application. This hinge can be done in solid brass. It can be done in solid stainless steel. If you live in a coastal area, you might want to consider something that won't be as susceptible to a rust situation or a corrosion situation. Although the plating is the plating. If you want a plating, you know, whether it's solid brass base, you know, you're going to have the process on here, but having something that's non-ferrous like stainless steel or brass would certainly help in that sort of situation. Screws are included in a complementary finish. You're going to have some wood screws in there. You'd get all wood screws. This package has all wood screws and all metal screws, which is pretty typical. You can get this in a 3-knuckle hinge as well. That's their 8000 series hinges, both plain bearing and ball bearing. Bommer, a full line manufacturer of all things hinge related, and they have a comprehensive offering of commercial hinges and residential hinges that suit almost every scenario that I've ever seen. The last thing I'd like to point out to you would be the Bommer logo. Right above it, it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer 5010-356-633 wide throw satin brass hinge or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.